Happy Monday, everybody. All right, I'm going to start with a chart today. I saw an article, and it was listing the top concerns of Americans. And so I'm going to ask you, dear viewer, what do you think the number one response of Americans being their top concerns are? If you're watching the news or turning on the TV or opening up social media, you're probably thinking it's politics. Um, on one end of either of the spectrums of the political spectrum here in the US. Um, anyway, that was kind of what one of my thoughts was. But surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, here it is. Okay, the number one concern by a wide margin is cost of living, 49%, almost 50%, followed by a far margin, but in second place, physical health. Then mental health is about the same. And then work life balance is about the same. And then number five, politics. So I think this just goes back to show you what social media and media in general, they've got an agenda, and it may be reality, but oftentimes really is not. And I think this is case in point. So what does this tell us? That the vast majority of Americans, they're concerned with cost of living. And the vast majority of Americans are also living paycheck to paycheck, which then goes back to last week's video where I was talking about General Mills, how prices are going up and yet the food sales are going down. And I've talked about this with Starbucks as well, which is why we're not investing in Starbucks coffee. We're investing in the coffee beans themselves. Well, right now, Starbucks is down about 9 or 10% for the year. Meanwhile, coffee beans are up. And this goes to show that when cost of living concerns start adding up, people tighten their belts. And there's a lot of debt here in the country. People are worried about paying their mortgages, paying their credit card bills, paying their auto loans so that they can get to work, praying that they still have a job. And when you're worried about those kind of things, you slow down on going to Starbucks every day and getting a $10 latte. But you don't necessarily slow down on drinking coffee. You just make more of it at home, right? Which goes back to our kind of a hedge strategy that people need to eat, and people are consuming products, but it's not necessarily coming out of corporate America. It's more coming out of the ground and coming out of the earth. It's the stuff that God makes. Okay, so this goes back to, if you're a client of ours, your investment portfolio. It's doing really well, and Greg and I are thrilled. We've gotten several phone calls from you, um, and we're happy that your accounts are doing well. But this is part of it. So while at the grocery store you may feel a little pain when you're buying your groceries, or when you're at the hardware store, feel a little pain, but that pain should be offset a little bit by seeing your portfolios grow. Okay, one more thing. A couple weeks ago, I was talking about the value of copper here in not just America actually, but globally, and how we're not pulling it out of the ground fast enough to keep up with our consumption. And it's not just copper to turn on light switches. What we're really talking about is technology, artificial intelligence, um, blockchain, uh, quantum computing, the amount of copper going into these new technologies and the energy that they're consuming, but not even talking about the energy, just the copper is so massive. We're not pulling it out of the ground fast enough. And that's what the video was about last week, which explains why it at that point was up 10% for the year. Well, we just had a new report come out that the Fremont mine, the largest source, or the second largest source of copper out of Indonesia, a mine in Indonesia, had a mudslide, shut down operations. Lives have been lost, and they've had to stop everything. And that means they're not able to deliver now, and they're claiming force majeure, which is basically an act of God. It's a superior force that they have no control over. And so what does that do? Well, it doesn't slow down the demand. The world needs copper more and more every day, but now there's a slowdown in supply. And it's going to take a while for this mine to go back up. So this is just reiterating, how fragile supply chains are, and how important these raw materials are to the needs of the world, which goes back to that video we were talking about. So hope you find this interesting. And with that, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.